So I'm going to basically give a quick introduction here in terms of the Digital Twin Consortium. Again, thank you for inviting me to present here. So my name is Dan Isaacs. I am the Chief Technology Officer for the consortium. And I just wanted to start off with this slide, really because I think it's really profound in the statement that by linking the physical and the digital worlds, you can generate over $10 trillion per year in economic value by 2025. And we're starting to see that being recognized across many different market segments. And one of the key points of the Digital Twin Consortium is to drive the adoption and the interoperability and the development of digital twin and digital twin enabling technology, and look at it from a consistent level of approach for open source and open standards requirements, committed towards accelerating the market and really guiding outcome for users. So looking at improving interoperability, really driving the adoption of digital twin, and being able to demonstrate the true value. So we were founded a little over a year ago by Microsoft, Dell, GE Digital, Northrop Grumman, Lend-Lease, as well as the modeling ANSYS, Autodesk, and Bentley. And you can see here we started with a little over 50 members. Now let's fast forward a year, we're over 300 members and continuing to grow. Sometimes I'm seeing them come in, the membership requests coming in on a daily basis. So it's tremendous, and it's a testament to the recognition that digital twins are the key enabler towards digital transformation. So how are we doing? How are we going about accomplishing this mission? We've separated into key working groups. We have our technology, terminology, taxonomy working group, more the horizontal focus. So think about security across every digital twin. The lifeblood, the lifeline of digital twin is data. You need to get access to that data. You need to run analytics on it. You need to connect. So security is paramount. On top of that, there's trustworthiness, the resiliency, the reliability of the data. And in other cases, obviously in healthcare and life sciences, the privacy of that data. So what we want to do is we want to look and have a common language, a common vernacular to speak and understand within all the consortium and have a common terminology. And then also look at it from a reference architecture and look at it from a platform stacks, and then look at open source opportunities through there, and then look at the specific domains, the vertical areas, whether it's aerospace and defense, manufacturing, natural resources. We've actually added a healthcare and life science working group, and of course, infrastructure, which is all about buildings and smart cities and all the infrastructure. I'll talk more about that. And then with our thought leadership and marketing team. So the first thing we've done is we've established a definition, a consistent definition throughout the consortium. We've published that along with a glossary of terms. We've also created a reference architecture, so this platform stack. I think here you can see the key elements: security, trust, governance, the foundation, and then bringing in the convergence of the IT and the OT and the platform. What does that look like? And how does that interact in terms of the virtual representation? And then the services and the microservices. And then how do you interface that along through the synchronizing the mechanisms of getting the data to and from real world to that virtualization? So as I said, we are very domain, very vertical oriented. So we have both aerospace and defense, healthcare and life science, manufacturing, and infrastructure. And if we take an example within infrastructure, we can look here. We can see this is chaired by one of our steering committee members. So this is from the CTO for Lend-Lease, significant major property management, construction, and overall building association. So this is Lend-Lease. And Sala Eckhart, also a very key responsibility within Microsoft as related to buildings, real estate, all the management through there in terms of ontologies and those aspects. And then we also have the VP of GAFCON, who is representing the owners themselves. So one of the key points about the consortium is we have both the technologists, the users of digital twin, the developers of digital twin and enabling technology, as well as academia and government and research. And you can see here, looking at it from the infrastructure standpoint, it's not just about smart buildings, it's about smart cities, it's about the infrastructure, the bridges, the roads, the rail, the tunnels, all the transportation aspects, and even autonomous systems as part of that, including things like traffic management and people flow. And this is one of our members. This is the chair of an organization called the Autonomy Institute, and they're looking at across the board in terms of creating these smart cities and the corridors for the transportation. And that would include areas in terms of air as well as land and even sea. So if you look at this, and this is a quote from the CEO of Esri Singapore, only with a digital twin in place can government agencies effectively analyze what can be done with the data. What is the actionable insight? What is that data telling? And improve the living and create the opportunities. And we're talking not just a digital twin from that standpoint, we're also looking at it across the supply chain itself. So from when the goods come in, how do they get transported through the city? How are they managed effectively? And so digital twin from a supply chain perspective, so covering production, supply, the assets, the logistics, all of these different areas tying in. And then another working group is really around our natural resources and looking at it in terms of using alternative energy to be able to generate electricity to power these cities, to power the buildings. We actually have a pilot program right now running where we're actually looking at the buildings as batteries and what is the implication there. And that is all actively managed through a digital twin. We also cover mining and oil and gas areas. But this is an example here. This is part of that pilot program I was referring to, where you're using a digital twin to create that utility infrastructure so critical to powering our cities, to powering our buildings. And in this case, we're actually looking at it from a perspective of not just a digital twin around the alternative energy to create electricity, but it's also the high performance compute necessary to manage that. It's also the high speed communications, both wired and wireless, to manage that. And you can see at this level a very indicated example of this where you're decentralizing the grid so that these cities can operate autonomously and they won't be brought down by one single event, whether it's an attack of nature, lightning strikes, storms, or whether it's a cybersecurity attack or a physical attack. So decentralizing that to allow these towns and cities and villages to be able to support their own energy production and be able to operate from that way. But then you can link those together and create state. You link those states together and you create regions, districts, and link those states all together in districts, and now you can create countries. And that's exactly what is going on. So we're looking at it from an overall infrastructure perspective and have a digital twin actively manage at each different level and levels of complexity, levels of additional functionality, again, relative to being able to power the buildings and the cities. But it goes even beyond that, looking at that from a perspective of now taking that electricity that's generated from whether it's solar or wind or hydro or geothermal and use that electricity to be able to then create alternative fuel and create green hydrogen. And we're seeing this adoption across the globe. So very exciting, very great opportunities within the consortium and looking at all these perspectives in terms of being able to supply that energy and allow our cities and our buildings to operate. So on this alternative generated electricity. So within the consortium, we have many member initiatives running in place. We have a digital marketplace that's ongoing now. We have an open source initiative. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second here. We have the use case reference library. So remember we said we were going to be focused on guidelines and outcomes. So these are all examples, taking a case study of an implementation, an example, and showcasing that and creating these guidelines, the learnings from them. And then we also have what we call our innovation platform, where we talk about the thought leadership and the unique innovations that are transformative in terms of the business outcomes for the value that a digital twin provides. And then we have an ecosystem activity where we're both working with many other organizations. Think about it, we have a relationship with the Smart Water Foundation. So all the municipalities, major municipalities around the world, how does a digital twin affect in terms of water management, water quality? So bringing that all together and bridging that in terms of collaboration and opportunities, and even on regional basis. So this is our open source. We just have announced this, and we're actually now receiving several different proposals for projects. So we can continue this expansion and drive that adoption of digital twin and digital twin technology. This is directly on our website. And really then looking at how we can collaborate closely with the Building Digital Twin Association and bring some of these opportunities together and leverage some of the great work that's going on with Sphere and bring these opportunities for collaboration and work together jointly on these areas. So if you're interested in hearing more, which I hope you are, please, you can go to our website. There's a lot of information in terms of the activities. We have a channel where we have several different webinars on very specific areas. And then we also are involved in many, many activities. You can see here, every single month, there's something that the Digital Twin Consortium is involved in. Again, this opens up great opportunities for collaboration with BDTI. So for that, I want to say thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and the opportunity to present and introduce a little bit about the Digital Twin Consortium.